You have found yourself on Locked On Bulls. I'm Haize. That's Pat the designer. On today's episode of Locked On Bulls, we'll be talking about Zach LaVine finally comments on his free agency. What does that mean for the Chicago Bulls? We'll talk about all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Pat, we got some comments. AK and Eversley had their season pressers, and some revelations came about Zach LaVine's free agency. Zach made some comments that have sent Bulls Nation on a spiral, saying that first of all, his agent, Rich Paul, is going to be taking care of negotiations. He's not really going to be worried about it too much.
Yeah.
He said that he hopes that the city of Chicago knows what the city means to him. I will admit this. Those comments didn't leave much to hang on, just thinking that it's a for sure thing that Zach LaVine is going to be re-signing here in Chicago. Now, more than likely, we know what clutch clients do. They like to position themselves because they want to make sure that they get every bit of the money that they can get out of each and every deal. But Pat, what do you think about the comments from Zach LaVine and AK for that matter, talking about Zach LaVine's knee and how he doesn't think it's going to factor into his unrestricted free agency? What do you make of all this, Pat?
I just feel like people heard the part that they wanted to hear, and maybe took it a little bit out of context. Not saying you didn't hear what he said. He definitely said he's going into everything open-minded, which I think the section that set most of Bulls Nation into is Zach LaVine leaving? Oh God, what's gonna happen next? But when you look at it, right, he talks about understanding the relationship that he's built here with AK, understanding what the city of Chicago's meant to him over the past 5 years, understanding that he's really enjoyed playing for the Chicago Bulls, but still going into everything open-minded. And so to me, right, it was one of those hey, this is the first time I've ever been an unrestricted free agent. People are going to wine and dine me. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy this. It didn't say to me, I'm not coming back to the Chicago Bulls. And AK was pretty definitive. Says he wants to bring Zach LaVine. He wants to have continuity, right? He was talking about the different teams that were competing in the playoffs and the teams that they were matching up against, and how the continuity was the biggest difference between them and us. And so he wants to have it to where this Bulls team is together 3 to 5 years so that they can get those similar results like those teams have gotten. And so to do that, guess what? Zach LaVine has to be a part of what you're doing. Zach LaVine has to be a part of the equation. You feel like there's an opportunity there where Zach may want to go elsewhere, but there's also, and that the Bulls, right? I'll ask you, the biggest concern is that going into this with the knee, are the Bulls going to offer him 210? I don't know if I see them doing that. So I see the Bulls kind of in the 195, 190 range, which puts you a lot closer to what other teams can pay. If it comes to a situation like that, do you feel like that's where these comments could be true? That's where where the concerns could be real?
Well, I mean, I think that and just the way that I took those comments is saying, hey, and Zach LaVine did, to his credit, say that it's not for sure that he's going to be getting knee surgery. Yet I think that may have been AK. I can't remember. One of them said it in one of their pressers. And I think that was more of an insurance thing to say, hey, if they do try to low ball me once we announce the surgery, some things may need to happen. I don't necessarily see them offering him less than the max. This is what I see happening. I see them possibly, like what they did with Lonzo, is making it an incentive-laden contract to where he has to hit certain milestones. It's technically a max contract, but if he doesn't hit certain health milestones or number of game played milestones, then it doesn't reach that max. Does that make sense? What do you think about that?
I thought that could be something that could get done as well, right? I felt like that was a situation where you could be talking about like a Joel Embiid, like you said, Alonzo type contract, where if he doesn't get there, you can get this. I think the other thing we have to think about is like what these Rich Paul clients normally do. You don't see them a lot of times sign for the full years that they can get. A five
This
year
is true
max
as well.
time
Yeah,
is the full years that they can get. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something where Zach gets a higher or something to match the per year or a higher payout at the end of the season, but maybe only signing a 3-year deal here with the Bulls, which in that situation,
here's the
you're look,
thing.
it's
But
tough.
yeah, but my thing is that usually when Rich Paul or Clutch Sports clients do that, they're either LeBron or they're much younger.
Yeah,
A Zach LaVine at 27 years old signing a 3-year contract with possible more knee issues, that puts you at 30.
yeah,
And Zach not being, I love Zach LaVine, but Zach not being that transcendent level player to where he's really won anything, I don't know if they take that risk for Zach,
mhm,
considering where he is. Now, if it was a player like LeBron, if it was a player like Chris Paul, if it was a player like hell, as much as I don't really think he's that level anymore, but somebody like a James Harden, if
yeah,
it was somebody like that, then maybe they would attempt to do that, or somebody younger like a Tatum or somebody like that. But Zach is really in that unique place where this contract really is going to carry him theoretically through his prime. And so because of that, you got to think if 5-year max for Zach LaVine, that puts you at 32 years old going into
yeah.
your 33-year-old season. You can still play years after that, but it's not going to be your prime. So I don't it's possible. I'm not
The
saying what you're saying
I
is
I think
incorrect.
I think the
It's
biggest thing,
risky.
I feel like where is there less risk, right? Like
Yeah.
on the Bulls side, listen, let's be 100% real. There has to be a jump from Patrick Williams, like we heard in all of these press conferences, the end of season
Mhm.
pressers. There has to be a jump from Patrick Williams. There has to be a jump from in bench production and things like that for this to become what we hope it's going to become. But
Absolutely.
if we're going to get to that point, if we're going to get to that next level, if we're going to get here, it has to happen within 2 to 3 years. Where yes, we may be talking about at that point, are we talking about DeMar DeRozan is not the same guy? Nikola Vucevic isn't the same guy, right? So maybe the 3-year deal works best for both sides in this situation. Where yeah, we're giving Zach a little bit more over this course of time, but it works with the timeline of at that point we know who P. Will is.
Yeah.
We get 3-4 years into this thing, and Patrick Williams is still giving us the same output. He's still giving us now we know, okay, hey, that didn't work. That was a pick that didn't work. We got to figure out something else. We got to figure out who's going to become that transcendent player, and hopefully it's Zach LaVine. But I feel like that, it is more over a shorter period of time, but I feel like it fits your timeline a little bit better in that situation, don't
Well,
you think?
another thing that they can do as well is that even if it's maybe not a 3-year, let's say it's a 4+1. Let's say they give him a complete player option on that 5th year, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if they front load the contract? What if they pay him more in the first few years
Yeah.
and it actually descends, whereas most contracts rise up? You give him more money up front, his contract descends, and what that does is that as Patrick Williams up for extension,
Yeah.
as Io's up for extension, Zach LaVine's max contract is actually going down, and it kind of offsets you having to pay those other players more money.
There's a ton of money things they can do here. I
Yeah.
think the Bulls are absolutely gonna have that. I think there's going to be something funky in the contract just based on the fact that this is Zach LaVine's possible second knee surgery.
Yeah.
It is still on the same knee. It's essentially around the same area. The issues caused from his first ACL injury.
Mhm.
This is again going back in, and it's caused him to miss a considerable amount of time this season. It did hamper him in the playoffs. So I think that there's going to be for sure something different in the contract as it's structured out. What that's going to be is going to be interesting to see, because it's really going to tell you how the Bulls feel about Zach LaVine and his health moving forward, Zach LaVine and his contribution to the team moving forward. And I think the number itself is going to tell you exactly how they feel about rebuilding this thing, because if you start how they feel about Zach being the face of this, I should say, because if you feel like Zach LaVine is the face, you probably offer him 200 or 195 instead
Yeah.
of offering him anything close to what another team could give him, where he might be like, well, shoot, yeah, I'm losing 15 mil here, which is crazy to say 15. I'm losing 15 mil here, but I could play with my boy down in San Antonio.
which we're going to get into the possible teams that could offer Zach LaVine and what teams have cap space right after this. So I want to talk to you guys about BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs to esports and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet online where the game starts. Now, also, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now, make sure you also go and check on Locked On NBA Big Board, where host Rafael Barlow from NBA Draft Junkies and author of the NBA Big Board newsletter is joined by Richard Stamen, Sam Ferris, and Leif Tullen, giving fans an in-depth look into the NBA draft, mock draft, player rankings, and of course, Big Boards. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Okay, Pat. We got some, this talk about Zach LaVine and his contract and how it will work out if he's going somewhere else. Well, for it to be other options other than the Chicago Bulls, we have to talk about some of the other teams that could offer Zach LaVine a big contract. Now, there are 5 teams scheduled to have significant cap space in this NBA offseason. That doesn't mean that there can't be some maneuvering from other teams as we get closer to free up some cap space. But as of right now, the Pacers, Magic, Pistons, Blazers, and Spurs, who do have one of Zach LaVine's personal good friends on it, are the teams right now slated to have cap space. Out of those 5 teams, who do you think is the biggest threat? Who do you think could be a dark horse? And who do you think we don't have to worry about at all when it comes to trying to sign away Zach LaVine?
I'm gonna be honest with you, like the dark horse is gonna be the toughest one, because I think the Spurs are the only one that really makes sense, right? Like, why would he want to go to Orlando where they're still trying to figure out what the heck's going on there? Essentially, you would be going to Orlando, going back to the beginning of what he's been in, right?
And he's already saw Wendell Carter.
He's already seen Wendell Carter. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Bulls fans, I hate to tell you this, but Zach LaVine's not a believer. You saw Indiana's not even at the starting point of that, right? Like, Indiana's.
They do have an interesting prospect in Halliburton. They still got Miles Turner down there, not doing anything for you.
I think at this point in Zach's career, right, like, he's not looking to go with interesting prospects. At a minimum, like, right, like, now he's got an interesting prospect on his team, but he's also got DeMar and Vooch playing next to him. So and Lonzo and Alex Caruso, guys who already have that pedigree, already have that veteran leadership in place, that you're going to get to this next level with these guys.
Sure.
The Spurs bring a different kind of cachet, right? Like, the Spurs is a dark horse for me because his friend is down there in DeJounte Murray, but not even that, right? Like, the Spurs have pieces in place for them to be successful right now, and they really are missing that transcendent player, and they might feel that Zach LaVine is that transcendent player, is that player that's going to get them to the next level, is that player that now we pair this with DeJounte Murray, who absolutely took a leap in his game. How much more of a leap does he take if Zach LaVine is standing next to him? You've already got Jakob Poeltl down there. You've already got, some nice pieces in place. I love Patrick Williams' teammate Devin Vassell down there. I think he's going to take a step next season as well and do some good things for the Spurs. So to me, right, like, that's the only one that I think might be of interest. I think who else? Portland was on there too, right? You said.
Yeah, Portland's on there too.
Portland might be a dark horse in the situation that you have not a star on that team, but an established superstar, and you have Anthony Simons, and you're able to come in there and kind of, start to jumpstart some things already quickly with that. But that team traded away a lot of its pieces, so you're literally coming to the table with Dame Lillard, Anthony Simons, and the rest of them boys. So that might be your dark horse just because there's an established star there, but.
And we know Dame wouldn't hesitate to try to recruit either.
Oh no. Dame would be all over it. I think that would be easy for interest on the Portland side. But as far as Zach LaVine choosing them, I would be very surprised. I mean, I guess it gets you a little closer to home. But I would be very surprised if that was the deciding factor, right, for Zach LaVine. And so, favorite for me, Spurs. Dark horse Portland. I don't think the rest of them have a shot just because of where they are.
Okay, let's flip this a little bit. Let's take an interesting view on this. So let's say it is. We're going to use the Spurs as this just because we both, and I agree with you. I think the Spurs are the biggest threat to sign away Zach LaVine. They have Pop's there, even though Pop is really only going to be reportedly coaching one more year. But we know
Pop looked done this year. Pop was like,
Pop looked over it. But hey, it may be something to reinvigorate Pop. Bring in Zach LaVine.
Right.
But okay, let's have it from this standpoint, because if Zach LaVine does get it in his mind, all right, listen, Spurs have offered me something. I want to go play with DeJounte. The culture down there, everything sold me over. I'm going with the Spurs. The Bulls then have the option to try to pursue a sign and trade.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Spurs interesting so that Zach can still get all his money? Or do you think the Spurs can be, because hey, you said it, Vassell. Could the Bulls say, hey, listen, you got DeJounte, you got Zach, you can attract almost any vet. You guys are trying to compete now.
Yeah.
Can we get Vassell from you? We don't need no picks. Can we work that out? Would that be enough for you? Just say that you didn't lose Zach for anything.
Devin Vassell alone wouldn't be enough for me. I think if you were going to send him out down there, you would have to do a sign and trade. Let me double check, because like the pieces on their roster that they would send, I would say that the Bulls would want back, right? Like you're talking about, okay, send me DeJounte Murray. In that situation, it's like, well, that's putting us back at square one there. But I mean, I wouldn't mind Podol.
Vassell, Josh Richardson.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that these are perfect replacements for Zach. I'm just saying so that you're not losing Zach for nothing.
I think in that situation, right, like, of course, like, right, you don't want to lose Zach for nothing. I'm never a person that says you're going to lose him for nothing. If Zach LaVine decides to sign down there, in that, you always want to get something back for it, and it's not going to be of equal value.
Yeah.
But again, like, you can't. The thing is, right, like, what's the best deal that you can get out of that? That might be something, like you said, that might be the best deal you can get there. But again, now you're talking about, why would Zach LaVine want to go there? Because those guys are guys that have been an established thing for the Spurs. If I now trade, hey, I want to sign there, but then I gut the roster, right? And I take a couple of pieces that were getting legitimate starter minutes. Now you're just in a situation where I get to play with my buddy, where, hey, Zach had that here as well. And that's the part I want Bulls fans to remember, where he says, I'm going into this remembering my time in Chicago. That's the good and the bad. He remembers playing with his friend in Thad Young, his mentor, and not making the playoffs. Right? So playing with your friend, is that going to be enough over we can make the playoffs every single season with this roster and get better?
This is a good point. Because when Zach has to look, and let me be clear, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I've been very vocal in the fact that I think Zach LaVine is returning here. Nothing that I've heard, seen, anything changes my mind. I'm very confident in the fact that Zach LaVine is returning to Chicago. This is for the interest of conversation and to be fair, because hey, there is a chance.
Yeah.
Now I was almost surprised that you did not mention the Detroit Pistons as a dark horse because of Cade Cunningham, but because of what you said, you kind of explain that away.
Yeah.
Does Zach leave for an interesting prospect?
Yeah,
who wants to live in Detroit?
Detroit.
Yeah. But
the municipality.
But everything all being said, looking at the teams, the Pacers aren't as good as us. They aren't going to be as good as us anytime soon. They're on the precipice of a full rebuild. Wouldn't be surprised if they trade Turner at the draft, move on from him, and go complete rebuild. The Magic, no. Pistons, they could be interesting. We all know that the Pistons, very much with a couple of progressions, that they can be right at the precipice of the playoffs and damn near a playing team very quickly. But again,
I like as much as I hate the Pistons, I like what they're actually building. I like how they're going about it.
Yeah. Blazers have the established superstar in Lillard there, but is Lillard, I mean, we've seen that, right? We've seen, like, Lillard and
Lillard
Zach,
and another shooting
do they
guard.
really give you much more than what they, I mean,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a believer in Lillard and Simons.
Listen,
I
I
think
love
you got to
Anthony.
trade.
I don't believe in them together. I love them.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I don't know if them together. Like, what have you really done? And then you have the
Make
Spurs.
Lillard and CJ again.
Yeah, and then you have the Spurs.
Yeah.
So it really, like, unless a dark horse, and we've seen it before, there could absolutely be a team that starts maneuvering the draft that boom, all of a sudden got $23 million in cap space, and you're looking at like, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
Now they're trying to go after a big free agent. But all signs are really pointing to Zach LaVine staying. But go ahead, Pat.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're built. And hey, speaking of built, we got to tell you about Built Bar. Summer's coming, and with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you and the family on vacations. Throw them in your bags and your kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so you're fueled for your summer adventure. Let me tell you something right about Built Bar. We've been talking to y'all all year about these puffs that covered in 100% real chocolate. So if you're trying to eat healthy and you want to actually enjoy doing it, this is the move to go. They've got a ton of different flavors, and a protein bar that tastes like a churro, my boy. Cream pie, banana cream pie, and churro flavor killing the game right now. And this is the thing about Built Bar. You know, most candy bars, mad unhealthy for you. We're talking about a ton of calories, a ton of sugar. Built Bar contains 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. And the thing about Built Bar is they're all about the taste, man. They make it taste good first, and they make it or they make it taste good first, and they worry about making it healthy second. And I don't know how they do it, but they do it every single time. So here's what I need y'all to do. Go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
All right. Now, one of the things that we got to talk about, since this whole episode is built around the free agency of Zach LaVine, his contract, what it could mean. We got to talk about what do the Bulls do if Zach does leave. I just feel like it's fair to end the episode on that talking about it.
Yeah.
I think this is what I'm going to leave it on, and I'll turn it over to you. If Zach LaVine does decide to leave, I don't really hate where the Bulls are. And some people may say that that's crazy. And why I say that is because you then allow for 2 years for Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu, Lonzo hopefully get that knee correct. Whoever you draft, whatever happens, to learn behind DeMar DeRozan. You get some cap space off your books. You see what you got in these young players. You hope that they develop. And I'm not saying that the Bulls are going to be right back to a playoff team or anything like that by losing Zach LaVine. They could be. But I'm not, if Zach LaVine were to walk, I don't think I would feel as devastated as I was when they traded away Jimmy Butler. Like, I had no idea where the franchise would go after that. This time, we had a bet on this Laurie kid who we knew nothing about that they just drafted, right?
Yeah.
Because when they traded Jimmy Butler away. But we have players that we've now seen. We have Patrick Williams, who we've seen so many flashes from.
Yeah.
We have Ayo Dosunmu, who, while hitting the rookie wall, we've seen what he could be. We've seen what Lonzo could be when he didn't play next to Zach LaVine and he got unleashed a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's the optimal thing. I'm not saying that it's the desired thing at all. I'm not saying any of that. But I don't think this team would take as long to get back to where they are now as it took to get back to being a playoff team after Jimmy Butler left if Zach LaVine were to leave. What do you think, Pat?
I agree with you. It's more of a confidence in AK, though, right? Listen, in 2 years, we're in the playoffs again. Like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
And that confidence that he has instilled in the organization, that confidence that he's instilled in Bulls fans as a whole, right? Like, we expect him now. In 2 years, he's improved. Guess what? In year 3, we expect him to improve. If you lose Zach LaVine, okay, not to say, like you said, not to say that's the desire. I want Zach LaVine back. I want him to pay Zach LaVine what he's worth based on everything that he went through here. But you're now looking at a lineup where you have Lonzo Ball, hopefully 100% healthy, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams is your 3, the position that he probably needs to be playing anyway. You go out and you find your 4 of the future, and you've got Vooch at the 5. I'm not mad at that situation. I think it opens up more opportunity for the Bulls, especially with cap space and flexibility, to try and get some different guys in here, build this roster out a little bit different. I don't think that it all of a sudden jump starts a rebuild if you lose Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
But listen, hear us well. You take a step back, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You
For
lose Zach
sure.
LaVine, you lose a guaranteed bucket, somebody who is a excellent passer. The ball handling it leaves a bit to be desired, but on the other side, when he was 100% healthy, when he was playing well, he was playing pretty good defense as well for this Bulls team. So you absolutely take a step back in the sense of, like AK was talking about, having a team that has continuity working together. Now you're changing everything Billy Donovan has in place. But I believe in the coach that's here. I believe in the GM that's here. I believe in DeMar DeRozan. I believe in Nikola Vucevic. Whether they're the one in that situation, that's yet to be seen. We all agree P. Will needs to take that step, and I believe that Patrick Williams is going to take a huge step next season, and that's going to put things in a completely different place. And here's the exciting thing about it, right? When we're talking about these guys leaving, I believe they believe that Patrick Williams is going to take a huge step next season for the Chicago Bulls. So I think that all of that playing into it is going to factor into Zach's decision, and whether he stays or leaves, right? Like, you have pieces that you put in place, foundation pieces that, hey, we can still be good. We might not be at the level we were, but we can still be very competitive in this NBA with the pieces that we currently have. And it honestly sets your roster up to not be such a small ball lineup in that situation, don't you think?
I do. I think like I said, not optimal. Not saying that that this is what I want to see, but I think when you look at how this roster construction can work out, on top of it, really just boils down to having. Let's be clear. This boils down to having AK and Eversley in the front office.
Yeah.
That's
Having
just really
people
what
that
it
know
boils
what they're
down.
doing, bro.
Yeah, It just
Let's be real. When Jimmy left, the reason we weren't confident is because it was like, man, these mugs, they made a good pick. And I don't know how long. Marcus Teague was here.
Oh my God! Let's not talk about Marcus Teague. And it was, hey, you guys traded away Jimmy because a star, superstar, however you want to see him, because
He was
you
star
just
level
admitted
at that point.
you didn't know how to build around him. Like, that's the most idiotic reason to go into a rebuild. Like, hey, we don't know how to build around Jimmy, so we traded him away.
And because you didn't know how to build around him, and he knew you didn't know how to build around him, he was like, I'm not coming back. Like, there's something that AK said in his press conference that I thought was so key, right? He said, players want to be here.
Yeah,
Players
yes.
want to come to Chicago. That's the biggest difference. That's why I feel good about this. If Zach LaVine is here, or if Nikola Vucevic is here or not, players, we think of it as just the court and the coach. You're working for people. And when your work environment is not good, even for you, this is one of the few times you can use real life situation to explain the NBA. When your work environment isn't good and you can't stand your boss and you don't want to be there, guess what? You get the heck out of Dodge. And then you tell other people, don't do that, man. Buddy be tweaking up in there, man. You go up in the office. He's sitting there chewing you out the second you come in. They got a time clock on the wall. I don't know what's happening. You know what I mean? AK is somebody that people want to play under, want to work under. Billy Donovan is a coach that players love to play under, whether Chicago believes in him or not. Players like Billy Donovan and his coaching style. I know it's crazy, right? But they do. So it's going to be interesting. Like that, because of that, you feel good about this situation. You couldn't feel good when you were going into it with Fred Hoiberg getting fired, and here comes Jim Boylan. Who the heck is this guy? We got the same mess in the front office that we've had for, I can't even say the amount of years that it was at that point. But yeah, we have the same mess there. Like, it changes so much for you. It's such a difference.
These are facts. And you know, I mean, like I said, will it pit AK and Eversley? Will it change their complete timetable for the Bulls being a competitor? Yeah. Well, theoretically, because AK and Eversley seem to be such just prepared for everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a whole folder like, oh, Zach's leaving, and bring out the emergency folder. hey, go get the folder marked Z on it. That's what we bring out the Z folder. We ready. Don't even worry about it. What? Zach's gone? Okay, hey, listen, don't even worry about it. We got y'all.
Opens the folder. It's just Kevin Durant's picture looking up at you. Like, there we go. What? Huh?
You know, again, I'm not on the bench. Jokic has already said he plans on signing a max extension with the Nuggets. But I wouldn't be surprised. Zach LaVine leaves, and then all of a sudden Bulls fans go through like 2 weeks of utter depression, and then it's announced Jokic is coming to the Chicago Bulls, and AK's just sitting at the press conference like this. Like, oh, y'all thought I wasn't prepared for this, hey?
How'd he pull that off? Traded a first-round pick, a bag of balls, and a half-dead dog. What? AK and Mark Eversley make the difference. And I think the scariest part going into this offseason is going to be, do we keep like Zach LaVine being gone is one thing.
Yeah.
Is Mark Eversley gone?
That's
and we can talk about that tomorrow. We can talk about that tomorrow.
We'll talk about that. We also need to talk about Scottie Pippen again making crazy.
Hey, we gotta talk about Scottie.
We gotta talk about Scottie.
Oh,
and that may be the title of tomorrow's episode. We gotta talk about
Scottie.
Because man, listen. Oh my Jesus, man. Every time Scottie opens his mouth, it's like I want to say, why do people keep interviewing Scottie? But this is the reason. You get a quote like this from Scottie on your podcast, it's like, Scottie, come on, Locked On Bulls, bro. We gotta holler at you, man.
Hey, we definitely reaching out to Scottie, man. I just want Scottie to know, Scottie, Chicago love you, dog. I feel like he don't think we love him. We love you, dog. We know what the numbers is. We know that Jordan was the scorer and you was the defense in the. We know it. We see it.
Yeah,
but you wasn't Jordan either. But we love you too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say you the favorite son. But you in the family.
Yeah. Well, he may be behind Derrick Rose now with all the crazy comments.
But you in the family. You know what I mean?
He's in the family. He may be behind Joakim Noah too with all the crazy comments. But nonetheless, oh man, that just kicked up my dang cough. Thank you so much for joining us today on Locked On Bulls. Pat, go and give them the social media, man. Let's get up out of here.
Hey, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. And of course, follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. It's PATTHEDESIGNER. Yes, I did go to public school. They taught me how to spell.
And you can follow me at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. And I want to thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go listen to Locked On NBA. From the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the finals, Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all 30 teams. You can even hear our very own Pat the Designer over there on Locked On NBA once a week. But thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Bulls. We appreciate you guys. We are out. We will see you lovely and beautiful people tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
Stay safe out there, man.